play. I don't know if Trey Burton is going to play this week or not. Maybe you can fill me in, but even if he doesn't, I think Adam Shaheen might be a guy that could give us trouble.
Trey Burton, strained groin. We really don't know around here whether he's going to play or not. He was limited in practice, so there is some hope that he might. Tight end is an issue on this team. The Bears really bet heavily on Adam Shaheen in the offseason by not drafting a tight end. He's a second-round pick. He has potential, but he's never realized it. He really has underperformed since he's been here. And so they're going to rely heavily on him to take a step forward as the Y or the inline tight end. And we'll have to wait and see what happens on that. We don't have many concerns on the defense on the Bears, but ours is in the defensive backfield, I think, if we have any. This is not something that you hear about ordinarily for anyone else, but I was concerned about Prince Amukamura in the second half last season. He had something like 6 pass interference type penalties. I went back and counted them all in the second half of the year. And to my mind, teams were picking on him a little bit. And I thought maybe he started to show his age a little bit as people finally went away from Kyle Fuller and sort of went to his side. And so he's somebody that I'm keeping an eye on, and he's something he's in my mind, and again, you won't hear this from anybody else but me. I'm the only guy that seems to have picked this up, but he's a little bit of a point of concern. And then Clinton Dix is brand new in the defensive backfield at safety. You could probably tell me more about him than anybody than I know, but he has his reputation as a boom or bust kind of player, and that means he can make some big plays for you, but he also makes mistakes, and that concerns me. I like my safeties nice and solid, like Adrian Amos was, a guy who didn't make a lot of plays, but was where he was supposed to be most of the time. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that, and I'm wondering how many big plays he'll give up. And then Buster Skrine is brand new at nickel cornerback after the loss of Bryce Callahan. And the Bears have a very high opinion of him. They think he's very good. As far as I can tell, no one else in the league agrees with that. Most people are willing to concede him as an average cornerback, nickel cornerback. So he's another guy that I'm looking forward to seeing, because I really don't know what we've got there. And he could be a good addition if the Bears are right about him. When they fall in love with a guy, sometimes they overestimate him, and that has me a little bit concerned, and I wonder if that position is going to be a problem as well. So those are some of the issues that I'm kind of keeping an eye on on the defense side of the ball.
Yeah, just to put a bow on the discussion, I think you're absolutely right. He is a boom or bust guy. Pretty good in the passing game. A few breakdowns, but where he has really struggled, at least historically, has been in run defense and really just tackling in general. Just didn't really seem real interested in tackling. And maybe that's okay. I mean, in Chicago, you got Roquan Smith and Eddie Jackson, and maybe they can kind of gobble up all those tackles that would normally be going his way. But that's kind of my take on Clinton Dix. But as far as the Packers offense goes, I'm excited for, the first time in over a decade, we have a new offense, and kind of interested to see what kind of additional wrinkles we'll see from Matt LaFleur. I suspect they played things pretty close to the vest in the preseason, but I am expecting to see a little bit more pre-snap motion, some tighter formations. I think we'll see a commitment to the running game. I think that's an area we finished dead last in terms of rushing attempts in 2018. And I just don't think that's good for Aaron Rodgers. And we also kept a fullback this year, and a pretty athletic one at that. So I'll be curious to see how he gets folded into the offense. Along the offensive line, I think we should be better this year. We spent some money on what we hope is an upgrade at guard. And, Brian Bulaga is healthy right now. So I think while it may not seem like it week one, given the Bears defensive line, being pretty ferocious. I think overall we should see better line play from Green Bay this year. And I think most importantly on offense, Rodgers needs to throw the ball on time. Too much of our offense in 2018 was predicated on him making off-script plays. That's a really tough way to sustain an offense. I think Rodgers' willingness to trust his receivers. He has another year under his belt with what was predominantly a rookie class last year. So if he can trust those receivers and throw in rhythm, in my opinion, that's going to go a long way to determining how successful Green Bay can be as an offense in 2019. And maybe this is too early to say, but I think that will go a long way towards making or breaking Matt LaFleur as a head coach. I think if Rodgers comes in and plays disciplined, then things are going to be fine. If he comes in and tries to do the same thing we did last year when we went 6-9-1, I think life will be short as a head coach for Matt LaFleur. So that's my perspective on the offense. Do you have a prediction for the game?
I do, and I certainly do agree with you and appreciate your opinion of Aaron Rodgers. You and I have always shared that perspective on him, and I think it's underappreciated. I think you agree. There was a reason why he was able to execute what most people seem to think was not much of an offense from McCarthy last year and tear apart a pretty good Bears defense after he got hurt last year and had to sit in the pocket and throw and get the ball out and throw into tight coverage. And I think he's always better at that. You and I are of the same mind there. And if he gets back to that, I think the Packers will be back to being a very, very competitive team. If he doesn't, then it'll be an interesting year for everyone. My prediction, I'm not going to predict anything exotic here. I think I am going to take the Bears in the game, and I'll go ahead and say 28-24, which will make it a nice moderate scoring affair. But I think it'll be a really good game. I think it's really going to be interesting. Really looking forward to seeing what the Packers offense is like, and really looking forward to seeing what they cook up for Trubisky on defense in terms of blitzes. I think that's what they're going to bring. So that would be what I'm looking for in the game, and that's my prediction.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I'm looking forward to the chess match between these two teams. I'll say I'm really glad that we open against Chicago. I think with a new head coach, basically everything should be an unscouted look, and we've had all offseason to prepare for this. So as opposed to playing you guys in week 2 or week 3, when you only have a week to get ready, I like the idea of starting the season against Chicago. At the same time, I'd be lying if I said I was confident that we'd win this game. I think more likely than not, we will lose on Thursday. But Packer fans, don't despair. I think Chicago is supposed to win this one. I think we still can win the division. And that said, if we can keep it close and force Chicago to attempt a game-winning field goal, I will feel pretty good about our chances no matter the distance.
Fair enough.
All right, there go Tom and Brian. And Brian's little joke there at the end about if it comes down to a field goal could actually come true in this particular case.
Yeah, that was funny.
The point spread in this one is 3. The Chicago Bears, according to the SuperFan power rankings, and these are post-preseason power rankings, we've got the Bears at 6, the Packers at 10. So our power rankings are taking the Chicago Bears. I am taking the Chicago Bears. Neil is taking the Chicago Bears. James is taking the Chicago Bears. For some reason, Kevin is playing the part of James.
Hi, everyone. Well, I don't think it's that outlandish. It's 6v10 in the power rankings. While I do think the Bears defense will give Rodgers a little bit of trouble in the beginning. I mean, they had a showdown last week in the same exact situation. Rodgers led them back to victory. Don't expect Khalil Mack to have like 4 forced fumbles in this game. Don't really have a lot of confidence in Mitchell Trubisky or that offense in general. And if it was later in the season and David Montgomery had more run in him, I do think he's going to be good this year. Then maybe that would swing my pick a little bit. But right now, I'm just going Aaron Rodgers over the Bears, strictly that reason, just because there's not much else to go on in week one. And I'm not really a Bears believer like you, Pod.
Well, I will tell you, my boyfriends, the Chicago Bears, have a lot of things going for them. Aaron Rodgers does too. He is the NFL all-time leader with a 103.1 career passer rating. But it's been well documented, him and Matt LaFleur maybe not on the same page so far. And despite all those Trubisky truthers out there, Mitch had 4 games with 120-plus rating last season, which is the most such games in a single season in Chicago Bears history. Granted, that's not difficult because the Chicago Bears don't really have a vaunted history of quarterbacks. He does have a 107.4 rating in 2 career home games versus Green Bay. But you mentioned Khalil Mack, and he's really the big difference maker and the guy that I've got tabbed as maybe being the league MVP, despite not being a quarterback. He led the team last year with 12.5 sacks in 2018. That's tied for 3rd most in single season by a Bears player since 1982. And he's had 3.5 sacks, a forced fumble, a 27-yard interception return for a touchdown in 2 games last year versus Green Bay. And aims for his 4th in a row against Green Bay with a sack. So
I'll go with the under on 1.5 sacks for Khalil Mack on Thursday, honestly.
I'll take the over.
I know you will.
Am I right in thinking that Khalil Mack joined the Bears round about this time last year? He wasn't at training camp, was he?
No, it was very late into
so he's had a whole summer, getting better grips with the system probably, and
I mean he can't really get much better.
I don't know. He could do. He could do sack-wise. 12.5 sacks. I'm sure he could easily top that. I'm with you, Jay. I think he's a player.
Before you guys get carried away, a couple of injury concerns here for the Chicago Bears. Trey Burton has a growing injury. He'll be a game-time decision. That's the biggest name I see here, along with Bilal Nichols, defensive tackle, has a knee injury that's slightly getting better, and Rashard Coward, offensive tackle, has an elbow injury. He's limited in practice. For Green Bay, 2 most concerning injuries, Tremont Williams and Kevin King, cornerbacks. Both are limited in practice and are listed as questionable for tonight.
All right. Well, the Trey Burton one is a major one. They talked about it during the SuperFan Battle. But they do have some depth with Shaheen behind.
Trey Burton's not even that good. His time in the Eagles.
Take that phrase out of your mouth right now, Kevin. Trey Burton is
he's not
phenomenal tight end.
What did he even do last year? It's either Trubisky sucks or he sucks or both of them.
Oh gosh.
Because he was a lot better. He was a lot better on the Eagles. I'll tell you that much.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see.
Hey, James, I'm not so bad after all, am I?
Daggett, Neil, you're still here?
All right, guys, let's move on to the Sunday games. And we start on Sunday with the Atlanta Falcons at the Minnesota Vikings. Our power rankings have the Falcons at 12, the Vikings at 15. Another close one in the power rankings. The Vikings are favored by 4, but the power rankings will take the Atlanta Falcons. That said, Vikings have won their past 3 versus the Falcons, all under Mike Zimmer. Last time they met was in 2017, but Dan Quinn is 0-2 versus the Vikings, and I think Minnesota at home to start the season will take this one. Neil agrees with me, but James and Kevin disagree. James, why you got the Falcons?
Coin flip game here. I'm not really high on either team. We already know how much I loathe Kirk Cousins. I think these teams are evenly matched. I want to give the hometown edge to Minnesota, but I still feel some type of way about that guy playing quarterback in Minnesota. It is notable that I should point out Julio Jones is nursing a foot injury. He will play, but we don't know how that will impact him on Sunday.
Kevin, you got anything more to add other than a coin flip?
No, I'm just done with the Vikings until they prove me. I was all aboard their train last year, the year before, and they've just let me down. So until they prove me wrong, I'm going to pick against them every week.
Is it just me, or has Julio Jones had a